What's up, Lorehounds? It's Koopa inside the Red 5 Studios booth. I'm here with Scott Youngblood, lead designer for FireFall. So, obviously, you guys have revamped the game now 3 times. So it's still, an open world shooter, MMO, tons of MMO feel, very fast paced. What was the decision behind this, yet changing the progression system again?
So why did we change? Well, we listened, right? So we tried several different things over the course of the development of FireFall, and they weren't right. And we only learned that they weren't right by listening to our community. And that's something that we believe very strongly in doing. We're a very different company in terms of product development, that we integrated our community as early as we possibly could.
At what point do you, as the designer, kind of put your foot down and be like, this is the game we're making?
So we did that just now, right? And it's taken us several years of playing with our community to understand really what is right for the game. And the changes that we've made for the game have been based on their feedback, but it's also making sure that where we want to go in the future is the right thing. And so we started off with a level-based game, and that turned out to be bad because the rate of reward slowed down when you went higher up in levels. So then we tried a tech tree. Well, that was also bad because basically it said you must take this gear, right? It removed player choice. And so we learned from that scenario, and we decided, no, player choice is paramount. We need to make sure that you have the utmost choice. And so we changed our progression system a 3rd time to now you modify your constraints, and you can also advance your technology around what you can build. But those two are separate from each other, right? They don't interfere with each other. And so now you have ultimate choice over what gear you want to build and why you want to build it. If you want to spend all your time making the best plasma cannon ever, you can. And you can put all of your progression into just building a better gun. If you want to move faster, you can do that as well too. So there's a lot more player choice in the game now, and you can play FireFall the way that you want to play it. And that was the reason for the change.
So you guys actually just pushed the patch live that made all these changes. How does a player go about actually doing the progression for making the ultimate plasma cannon? What is the trick to do that? Is it just playing over and over? Like, how do they gain that progression?
So playing the game is still the same as it was. You go out, you perform actions in the world, and you get benefits for those actions. Different types of progressions are now available in the game. So experience is what we had before. We also had resources, but now we've added in creature drops as well as event rewards, and all of these matter for progression. So you go out, play the game, collect experience, and then you can spend that experience either directly on your constraints or through crafting and crafting items.
So experience is back in a capacity, but now it's a consumable economy rather than you're just level based.
Right. I mean, so experience now you spend primarily on your constraints, and constraints have mechanical benefits. We have 3 different types of constraints in the game: mass, power, and CPU. And so if you decide to put more of your experience into mass, you start to travel faster, right? And so constraints actually have kind of a double side to them now. So you have your maximum possibility of constraints, and then you also have what you're choosing to use. If you use more of your constraints, your player will run slower, right? So it's really a lot of player choice in determining how you want your character to feel.
So actually, part of the change in the progression system, you guys, obviously you're still one character and you can do all the battle frames, but you actually added more of them with this new progression system, correct?
Yeah, so the new progression system, we took away the tiers and we flattened it down to a single tier, and instead now the tiers are reimagined in terms of your gear. So now each piece of your gear has its own tiers, and you can choose which one of those that you want to chase. And that's really a lot of power to you in terms of how you want to play the game and why you want to do it.
So you guys also added in this patch a lot of PvE, because there was a bit of a push where you guys were more PvP focused, and now you're coming back and doing a lot of PvP. Are you trying to make it like a 50-50 split there?
We believe in both parts of the game, right? And we talked a lot about PvP previously because we were making a big esports push, and that kind of sent the wrong message to the PvEers. Right. And we really love PvE. I mean, that's the cornerstone of the game. And we want to make that as compelling as possible. In terms of a 50-50 split, it's how you choose to play it. It's not our choice. If you want to be 100% PvP, you can. If you want to be 100% PvE, you can, right? It's your choice.
So you're going to keep adding basically the content, and just whichever way people play it, they play it. Sticking with upcoming content, is there any plan to do a massive PvP/PvE battle? Some sort of, endgame raid type thing, but mixing the two?
So end game, what is the end game in FireFall? So we're just getting started in terms of communicating to our user base of what the end game is. We've used this term before. It's called armies, and armies are your group construct. We intend to give armies a lot more interesting capabilities. So right now, we're only playing FireFall and advancing your frames, but army technology is definitely where we're going in the future. And together, basically building like a community character around your army and its technology is something that we feel will be very compelling for players long term.
So we have FireFall. It's pretty much soft launch now. You guys said there's going to be no character wipes going forward. Is there going to be like an official launch, or is it kind of just going to surprise us one day?
Yeah, so when do we take off the beta tag? I guess the community is really going to tell us when we can take off the beta tag. Our current milestone, our objective is to go open beta, which is, an invite is no longer required to play, and that we can let as many people into the game as possible. And we're looking to do that this summer.
Well, guys, FireFall, you can check it out. You can get into the beta pretty easy. You can just buy it. That's a good start, Founders Program. And there's also still beta keys floating around everywhere too, right?
It's not too hard. As long as you know somebody who's in the game, they can probably give you an invite, and we grow it that way.
Thanks so much, Scott.
You're welcome.